A very good morning to all. Today we'll start with the new chapter number 13, and the name of the chapter is Early Civilizations. So during most of the prehistoric period, so what do you understand by this prehistoric period? This is the period when writing and reading was not developed. So at that time, the early humans, they lived in small groups and they wandered from one place to another in search of food. They hunted, they fished, and they collected wild foods like wild fruits, wild berries and nuts. That's why they were known as the hunter-gatherers. After the discovery of farming, they started to cultivate many crops, vegetables, and they also domesticated animals. So, what do you understand by domesticating animals? That means rearing of animals like sheep, goat, cow for meat, milk, and to use their skin to cover their body. So, after the farming, they started to cultivate many crops, vegetables, and they also started domesticating of animals. In order to do farming, they settled in one place and they built their houses. So, huts were made of mud and lots of huts were made, and together they formed the villages. In due course of time, these villages, they changed into cities, and more people, they started to take other occupations like making tools, paintings, trading. Trading means buying and selling of things. They started to make clay potteries and so on. And they were also good farmers, and they started to produce extra food crops to support larger villages. And farmers also invented agricultural tools. So you can see here axe, sickle, hammer, grinding tools. So these tools were invented by the people to make their work easier, and they used stone, bones, wood, metals to make these agricultural tools. So new ideas were developed, and this resulted in civilization. So let's understand this word civilization. It is derived from a Latin word which is known as civitas or city, and the meaning of this word is citizens of a city. In simple term, we can say that civilization means the way people settle in a place at a certain time. So they have planned cities, they have their own style of building monuments, cities, they have their own language, writing art, they have their own trading style, art and craft. So these all are features of a civilization. There were many civilizations in the ancient period, and these all civilizations, they developed near the banks of the river. That's why these civilizations are known as the river-based civilization. So here you can see a rough world map, and you can see 4 civilizations. So here the green marked area is the Egyptian civilization, which was developed on the banks of river Nile. And here this pink area, this is the Mesopotamia civilization, and it was developed on the banks of river Tigris and Euphrates river. And here you can see the purple color area, this is the Indus Valley civilization. We also say Harappan civilization, and it was developed on the banks of river Indus. And here the yellow marked area is the Chinese civilization, which was developed on the banks of river Yellow. So these were the 4 main civilizations, that is the river-based civilizations. In this chapter, we will be discussing about 2 civilizations, that is the Harappan civilization, or we also say the Indus Valley civilizations on the bank of river Indus, and then the Egyptian civilization on the bank of Nile river. Now let's see few reasons why these civilizations were settled on the banks of rivers. The first one is the rivers, it provided water for growing crops, and it helped in farming. Next one is the soil near the rivers are fertile, which helped them to grow different types of crops. Third one is they could get soft clay to build their houses. Next one is the people of those areas could get water for themselves, like for cooking, washing, bathing and so on. And they also use this water for their cattle and for their fields. Next one is they could use this river to go from one place to another. So it helped them in easy transportation. So because of these reasons, these civilizations were developed on the banks of the river. So next we'll discuss about the Indus Valley civilization. So you can see here it is located on the northwestern part of India and on the banks of river Indus. It is also known as the Harappan civilization, and this part is now located in Pakistan. Now some of the important cities of this civilization were Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which is now present in Pakistan, and Kalibanga, Dholavira and Raufad, which are present in India. Here you can see a picture of Mohenjo-daro city, and you can see that these cities and buildings, they were built using baked bricks. So these buildings were very strong. And here you can see the picture of the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro. You can see at the center a huge tank and with many changing rooms all around the tank. Next one, you can see the great granary at Harappa. So this was used to store grains. And the people of Indus Valley civilization, they were good farmers and they cultivated crops like wheat, barley, vegetables, and they were also good artisans and craftsmen. So who are these artisans and craftsmen? These are people who make things by their own hands. So many craft toys and auctions have been found in these sites, and at those times metals were used to make vessels and tools. So merchants traded grain, food crops and artifacts. So who are these merchants? They are the person who buy and sell things in the market, and trading is a process of buying and selling things. So at that time the merchants, they traded grains, food crops and artifacts. So artifacts are those objects which are made by human beings. So here you can see a site of Dholavira in Gujarat in India. This is a statue of Mohenjo-daro, that is the priest king, which was founded by R.D. Banerjee. He was an Indian archaeologist in the year 1922. So he was an officer of Archaeological Survey of India. Archaeological Survey of India is an organization to study, to research and to protect these cultural sites of India. So let's be familiar with this term, archaeology. Archaeology is the study of the human past life and activities. So these archaeologists, they use material remains like tools, potteries, ornaments, stone walls, monuments. So they study these materials to know about the past human life and their activities. So the person who studies the past human life and activities are known as the archaeologist. So this was about the statue of Mohenjo-daro. Now here you can see the picture of unicorn seal of Harappa and Pashupati seal. So what does this seal means? It is a small flat stone or metal tablet with a symbol or some writings. So you can see here some pictures, symbols and writings are there on these seals. So these seals were found in the Indus cities, and by seeing this seal we can make out that the people of Indus Valley civilization, they knew how to read and write, but we have not been able to understand their script. So this was about the Indus Valley civilization. Next, we'll discuss about the Egyptian civilization, which was developed on the banks of river Nile, and that's why Egypt is known as the gift of Nile. Now here the Egyptian people, they had many gods and goddesses. They had kings which were known as pharaohs, and they worshipped them. So the Egyptians, they built tombs for the pharaohs, which is known as the pyramids. So what do you understand by this tomb? It is a place where a dead person is buried. So the pharaoh or the king was buried or kept in these pyramids. Now you can see here the picture of Sir William Petrie, and he was the one to find out the accurate measurement of this Giza pyramid in the year 1880. And Giza pyramid is one of the ancient 7 wonders of the world. And here you can see the statue of Sphinx, and at the back you can see the Giza pyramid. Next, we'll discuss about the mummification. So after the death of the pharaoh, that is the king of Egypt, the people, they used to wrap these bodies in cotton clothes and they preserved with special oils, and this process is known as mummification. Now after this, it was placed in a richly decorated coffin, and then this coffin was placed in the pyramid along with the pharaoh's favorite of things like furniture, ornaments, food items and so on, because the Egyptians, they believed that this pyramid was the final resting place of their pharaohs, and they also believed that after death also they would live forever. So this was about the mummification. Next, here you can see a picture which shows Howard Carter. He was an English archaeologist from England, and he opened the coffin of King Tutankhamun tomb near Luxor in Egypt in the year 1922. Now these Egyptians, they were good farmers and they cultivated crops like corn, wheat, barley and vegetables, and papyrus plant was grown along the Nile river, and this was used for writing. That's why the word paper has come from papyrus. The Egyptian people, they were also good artisans and craftsmen, and they made beautiful statues and monuments. Some of them were the scribes. So what do you understand by this scribe? Scribe is a person who make copies of written documents, because at that time there was no printing machines. Here you can see some pictures and symbols. It is the ancient Egyptian writing style that uses pictures and symbols to represent sounds or words, and this helped in communication, and this is known as hieroglyphics. Now the people, Egyptian people, they used to write on walls of buildings or on papyrus. So this was about the Indus Valley civilization and the Egyptian civilization. That's all for today. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you.